Again, Alam Shalom. We're up to the third commandment. The third commandment is, do not take the name of Hashem, your God, in vain. Do not bear God's name in vain. So therefore, we have to know, the Gemara tells us in Masechet Shavuot, that when God said this commandment, the whole world shook. The world shook in this commandment, not the other commandments, only in this one. Shook. Because that's how severe it is to say God's name in vain. Now, we have to know that you're not allowed to swear in God's name. Or Rambam learns that you're not allowed to say a bracha levatala. You can't say a bracha that was not needed or was for no purpose, and that's a very big sin. According to Rambam, that is transgressing the third commandment of the 10 commandments. It's very, very hamur, very, very strict. It's considered mina hamurot. It's considered from the most severe of sins, like karet and mitat bedin. The person has to be very, very careful. So what happens? There's a story he brings that he says a lot of times we rush to our prayers. We don't say the words properly. You say Hazav Shalom Buchta, not Baruchata. Where's the Elokeinu? You skipped it. So a person, God forbid, can make him bracha levatala. If he's rushing, the person has to be careful. He brings a story from the student of the Hafetz Chaim who said the story, that one Motzei Shabbat, there was an 11-year-old girl, Bracha. Interesting, her name is Bracha. She went to go get water. And what happened, all of a sudden, a loud noise, a horse went on the stone that covered the well. And it broke the stone. All of a sudden, she starts screaming, this girl. She gets a high fever. She's in pain. She's screaming, yelling. And they hear a voice coming from her. And all the rabbis came and they heard what is the story. A dibuk went inside of her. Evil spirit went inside of her. So the Chafetz Chaim and his students went to their house. And they started speaking to the dibuk. And they said, what do you want from us? What are you bothering this girl? So he said, the Dibuk said his whole life story. Well, he was alive. He was an orphan. No one was able to guide me. I went off the derech. And I didn't do teshuvah and I passed away. They took me back and they judged me and they said, 16 years you're going to be kafakela. Kafakela is the slingshot of the soul. You don't get home. You're in this world, getting thrown from one side of the world to the other, suffering, tremendous suffering. These souls, they look for somewhere to rest. So he said, I went to my headstone, and I was hiding over there, then it broke. I went to the stone on the top of the well, and it broke. So what did I do? Now I went to a person. I didn't want them to punish me. I wanted to run away from the angels, so I went inside Bracha, and I went inside this girl. He says, and I will make a decree that you will leave, but I want to know one thing. Why this girl? Why did you go to this girl and anybody else? He says, she was the first person that I saw I was able to go into. You know why? Because she didn't make bracha before she drank. She didn't make bracha before she drank. It gave me the ability to go inside of her. I was able to go inside of her body. So the rabbi, the Chafetz Chaim came, he did tikkun for her neshama, and for the neshama, he removed it, and he saved the girl's life. But the point was, that when does the klipa, when does kalkal have ability to grab onto you? Is when you don't make brachot, or even when you make brachot, you don't do it right. If you don't do it right, that gives the kalkal ability to. Bracha is blessing, and kalkal, the klipa, is curse. When can the curse attach to you? When you have no blessing. If you don't do the blessing right, say it right, you'll be protected. So therefore, a person has to be careful. You could go to Shamayim. Right, but all the Sifrei Musar bring the famous story of the big tzaddik who went to Shamayim. He saw all his box of mitzvot, and he sees chariots of averot. He says, what? Why have so many averot? He says, so many sins. Yes, you have so many sins. Why? He says, where's all my mitzvot? Where's all my prayers? Where's all my blessings? He says, it's on that side, with the side of the sins. He says, how? How is it not? It's a mitzvah to pray. And it's a mitzvah to learn. It's a mitzvah to say brachot. He says, you didn't say the prayers right with kavanah, you didn't say the blessings right, you didn't say God's name properly, you said God's name in vain, it became all guno, it became all sins, it's on the side of the sins. So therefore a person doesn't want to be shocked, Olam Haba. It's powerful prayer, it can accomplish a lot, but according to the power is the responsibility. You have to make sure that you don't play with this and think it's a joke. It could be for your detriment. So therefore, a person can say one pasuk Tehillim, he can say one pasuk of the Torah, he can say a bracha, all these things. You got to say it properly. Person who's reading Tehillim, a lot of ladies, they read Tehillim, in the middle of the Tehillim, they interrupt and they talk. They should focus on Tehillim, finish the chapter, then talk. Don't constantly interrupt the middle of Tehillim, thinking it's okay to interrupt. This also is like talking in the middle of prayers. The person has to be careful and treat it with respect. The Zohar says, Rabbi Yossi died, and he came back to life afterwards. They came to do his funeral. All of a sudden, he came back to life. He got up. He's alive. So the Gemara says, what happened? He says, when I was in Shamayim, my son was crying. He's, Abba, I need Abba to teach me Torah. So that because of his prayer, they had mercy on me. They sent me back. They sent me back. This is what, 22 years he lived after this. After he was clinically dead. He came back to life 22 years. Keneged, the Zohar says, Keneged 22 letters of the Aleph Bet. To teach his son Torah. If we would cry to Hashem and say to Hashem, we need Mashiach. We need the Mashiach to redeem us. We need the Mashiach to teach us Torah. We need your mercy. How powerful are these prayers? Look what it could do. It can bring back somebody from the dead, the Zohar says. But what? If we have this power, God made this correspond to this. If this is the power of Kedusha, imagine the koach of the Avera if you don't do the prayers and the blessings properly. So it should always be of mitzvah and never a sin for us. Baruch Adonai Olam.